Donald Trump's tariffs are reshaping the global trade. From South America to Europe, Africa, and even the Asian tigers are feeling the heat. The World Trade Organization, WTO, has even forecast that global trade will fall this year because of these tariffs. The organization previously expected global trade to expand by 2.7% in 2025, but it's now forecast it will fall by 0.2%. Is Nigeria also at the receiving end? And how should Nigeria absorb the expected shocks in case of eventualities? This is the focus on this episode of Business 24. What is the state of Nigeria's textile industry? We can inform you that the federal government is trying to re-energize it to actualize prospects of generating $4 billion annually. This is our lineup for this episode of Business 24. I am Vivian Ezadefe. Also in focus is our complimentary segments like the export tips.
Oga, madam, your hustle is hot, but are you thinking global? Now only Naija you sef wan conquer. Imagine your products gracing the shelves of Harrods in London, your brand trending in Times Square, New York. Stop dreaming small. The world is your market. The Next Gen Export Summit 2025 is your passport to international success. The Next Gen Export Summit isn't just a conference. Learn from industry experts who have been there, done that, and made the millions. Mark your calendars, April 25th and 26th, 2025. Virtual, affordable, and incredibly powerful. For just 2,000 Naira, you get access to knowledge that could transform your business forever. Register now on the website you see on your screen. Next Gen Export Summit 2025. The world is ready for you.
Welcome back, and straight to business. The President of the United States of America, Donald Trump's tariffs imposed on countries around the world that are labeled reciprocal tariffs. These are levies imposed on products imported to the United States. The primary aim is to make foreign goods imported into the country more expensive and encourage patronage of local products. This is undoubtedly heightened the global trade war. On April 9, 2025, the United States plans to impose a 14% tariff on most imports from Nigeria, except oil and gas, but has now been halted for 90 days. Are the levies on other countries affecting Nigeria? Let's listen to some development experts on this.
Talking about, it's not a new global tariff order. It is the American tariff order. And they say it is reciprocal. Okay? They say what it is we give is what we give you back. Remember that Nigeria has a subsisting tariff regime with America. All right? So what we can do is very simple. Either we look for what works well for us, or we look for new trading partners. That's what it is. I mean, we're not going to stop doing business because America has landed us a 10% tariff. And for me, that's not too huge, considering that we also have a 27% tariff on America. All right. So I don't think it's about the tariff. It's about, our capacity to be able to create, sustain, expand, our markets and our goods and services that we trade in those markets. It depends on what it is we're importing. Okay. If we decide that what we want to import, we will not import all, and then we begin to now look for alternatives. Remember in the days of the grain, if remember we were importing, barley, or hops from America. And then we decided we could use some other alternative to start, producing beverages. Some of them alcoholic, some of them non-alcoholic. So it is all about those alternatives. And we are blessed. We are blessed with human capital. We are blessed with a very, climate and weather. Okay, we are blessed with a purposeful and determined leadership who are not afraid to be able to take tough decisions. So we take those tough decisions, but we take those tough decisions haven't measured them properly on how it's going to be impacting on us in the long to the short to the long while, and then find mitigation measures, and we'll start adapting to the new world. That's how simple it is for me.
The new global tariff order, well, is to look inward, start, of course, looking for opportunities within our immediate region, the West African region, and of course the larger African continental region through the African Continental Free Trade, area, because Nigeria is at the center of Africa, and if we properly get our game right through proper, correct, appropriate policy deployment, we should be able to make gains, from the African trade area. We're talking of a trade area that is more than $3 billion worth annually. Our concern should be what's the percentage of what percentage of that $3 billion that we want to be, $3 trillion, not even $3 trillion that we want to come to Nigeria. So the economic relationship between Nigeria and America at this time is not exactly threatened because of the volume of business and trade that we have been doing. The larger percentage of Nigerian commodity that go to America is principally in the oil and gas sector. And so far, that is not threatened by the tariff policies of Mr. Trump. So, to a large extent, it may be the non-oil sector that may be threatened. But again, we're talking about trade activities that's below 7%, And if that is threatened, we also have new opportunities in Europe, because we can also, of course, adopt the ambush style, and the ambush style translates to mean that where other countries, especially the European countries, the very developed Southeast Asian countries, and the US are involved in this trade war, there are opportunities that will emanate from this new environment, as it were. The trade war affects these main big names. There are new opportunities that will evolve, trading opportunities that will evolve in these areas. And we can, of course, exploit the opportunities. Trade wars, wherever it is, will be globalized. And don't also forget that we are also under the armor of America with the 14% tariff. That means to say that the qualifying products that we export to America would also have the application of 14% tariff. So in America, our products becomes non-competitive, because of higher pricing. That when you had 14% tariff, it becomes higher. Then it also means that products that will be coming from across the world as a result of this trade war would also, of course, increase in price. And because Nigeria is also a mainly foreign exchange dependent jurisdiction when it comes to raw materials, our industry depends on imported raw materials. And to that extent, we may suffer from imported inflation. And if basic raw materials that forms the process of production are high in terms of pricing, it will reflect in the final product. So, to that extent, we should expect some form of increase in pricing, and that's the time, of course, again, translate to increase in inflation. But essentially, the way out is also to start looking inward, backward integration. How can we make use of our opportunity, of our resources in country, to produce and, of course, exploit them as a basis of raw materials.
From the tariff, let's reliably inform you that the Minister of State, Industry, Trade and Investment, John Enoh, has reaffirmed the federal government commitment in building a robust and responsive policy framework to support the growth of Nigerians' cotton, textile, and garment sector, as he believes it will help to generate $4 billion annually and reduce over-reliance on imported clothing. Aliko Manachiarua is earnestly waiting to give details.
In the 1980s and 90s, Nigeria had one of Africa's largest textile industry, with over 180 textile mills functioning optimally, employing close to over 450,000 workers and contributing in excess of 25% of the workforce in the manufacturing sector. But the once vibrant and thriving textile industry became a shadow of its former self, as most of the factories have all shut down. Presently, less than 25% of the factories are functioning.
The most important thing is that it's the recognition that this is a very vital, critical sector that can benefit the entire nation, whether you're a direct participant or not. And I think that recognition is what we're thanking government for. The Minister of State Industry, obviously with, the administration has identified the CTG sector, cotton, textile and garment sector, has been important and been able to help them to achieve their goals and targets of, job creation, for instance, wealth creation, import substitution, the generation of foreign exchange, and so on and so forth, and making us self-sufficient when it comes to clothing, for instance, as a main product that comes out of, the CTG sector. Just a little bit of information. It's adjudged that we're importing over $5 billion a year of, textile products that basically we can produce in country. So it makes sense so that we can reverse that.
It is from this perspective that the federal government, through the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, has reaffirmed its commitment to building a robust and responsive policy framework to support the growth of the Nigerian cotton, textile and garment sector and reduce the nation's over-reliance on imported clothing. The initiative, the Minister of State for Industry, Trade and Investment, John Eno, says aims to localize up to $400 billion in spending on textile imports, thereby fostering economic growth, creating jobs, and boosting local manufacturing capabilities. The minister gave the assurance while speaking at a stakeholders' engagement on revitalizing Nigeria's cotton, textile and garment industry in Abuja.
It's quite obvious. How I want to do it is quite obvious. One of it is having to call this stakeholders session, bringing, together the major stakeholders, those who are playing leadership in cotton, in textile and in garment, to see how everybody can get aligned to one direction and see how we can get results out of it. What do we hope to achieve from here? To review, the policy document, for the revitalization of the sector and to get it right and all of that. And secondly is to build consensus and agreement on an implementation roadmap, right, that can get us to revitalize the sector.
The minister also assured stakeholders that the government will work closely with institutions like the Bank of Industry to facilitate access to finance and machineries for garments and textile businesses.
Part of the mandate that I have as Minister of State for Industry is the promotion of Made in Nigeria goods and services. I'm not just going to pay lip service to this. We have executive order 3 and 5 that speak to different aspects of this, idea of promoting Made in Nigeria goods and services. I think that in the next couple of weeks and months, what is going to happen in this country is going to be a national campaign, to validate that, to make sure that that happens. And like I said, when I say it takes policy, I think the example of the governor of Ogun State in terms of the use of Adire by various government workers and appointees and all that is a classic one. And you can imagine how just by simple policy decision, more than 70,000 people in Ogun State all wear Adire at least once every week. I think that at the national level, we're going to get this to happen. And I think that the benefits of having a huge population is to actually, because, everybody, sector after sector, people talk about building local demand. The only way to build local demand is to encourage the use of made in Nigerian goods and services and to say we can discourage our appetite, which is so huge on foreign-made goods and services. At the beginning of my tenure as Minister of State for Industry, I announced and I inaugurated the Industrial Revolution Work Group. If you look at the goals, of that work group, one of the key things and the key objectives and plan is the revitalization of moribund industries. So we're working hard to see how we can, on a case-by-case basis, see what we can do to get back these moribund industries to function and to be alive.
The event themed Co-creating Solutions to Grow Nigeria's Cotton, Textile and Garment Industry brought together key players from across the value chain to deliberate on the sector's future and the need for governments to prioritize local production as a pathway to economic diversification, job creation, and industrial revival.
This administration, having recognized this sector, you can see the step that the minister took, which is to invite the entire CTG stakeholders. I'm talking about industry players, I'm talking about the practitioners, the farmers, the engineers, the textile manufacturers, even academia, to come and just, brainstorm as to identify what the challenges are or still are, and then offer solutions. And I think one interesting thing that the minister also emphasized was the fact that the government, this administration, is committed to reviving the CTG sector, and that it is important that we also recognize the opportunity as industry players and not, have infighting. There must be synergy. We must come together. We must work together. We must stop looking at ourselves as, competitors, or rather as collaborators. And that way, every single player would benefit. So he emphasized the fact that we needed to have that one mindset, that mindset of working together, of collaboration. And that if it is the only thing that he will achieve as minister, is the revival of the CTG sector, he would have done, and he would be satisfied. So I think that's a good thing. Yes, the ministry has called us before, but I think the energy behind this today is different. And we are having, like I said, the atmosphere, the environment of this meeting, speaks to the fact that, yes, there's a bit of seriousness, there's a focus, and there's a time-bound, intention to make sure that this industry is brought back to life.
With Business 24, Alika Okpanachi, Arua.
Nigerian shipyard industry has the potential to contribute significantly to the country's gross domestic products (GDP) estimated at $10 billion annually if properly harnessed. With an abundance of natural resources, Nigeria is poised to become a leading shipyard nation on the continent. However, the country currently relies on smaller nations for routine maintenance. This results in a staggering annual loss of $148 million. Correspondents examine the challenges facing Nigerian shipyard industry and the opportunities for growth and development. Nigeria's shipyard industry is in a state of disarray, with the country losing an estimated $147.8 million annually to neighboring countries for ship repairs and maintenance. According to reports, this is due to the lack of functional shipyards and dockyards in Nigeria, forcing ship owners to take their vessels to countries such as Ghana, Kenya and South Africa for dry docking and repairs. According to experts, Nigeria's shipyard industry has the potential to contribute significantly to the country's GDP. However, the industry is plagued by outdated infrastructure, limited capacity and insufficient investment, with other facilities being inactive for years due to lack of maintenance and funding.
We just need to focus on developing modern, fully equipped repair facilities here at home in Nigeria, in the nation. And as I said, if there's a policy, and I mentioned local content earlier, if there's a policy that is encouraging that type of investment, There is no need for us to be going outside of the country to do that. But what we can do is Nigeria can still partner with global friends in upgrading existing dockyards through sharing of advanced technology and developing dry docks to handle larger vessels. Because let us just try and be real about the situation of where we are at. We do require some technical sharing, technology sharing within the shipbuilding industry, because technology is really advancing at a pace that it's even difficult for people to follow very quickly, because technology is changing on ships as well. I'll give you an example. So we have this regulation driven changes that is coming up at the International Maritime Organization. And the policy framework that is just very close to being adopted would require ships' technologies to change, because the engines currently that we're familiar in ships are powered by fossil fuel. If we want to trigger a shipyard industry and shipbuilding economy in Nigeria, it will be best for us to start green. Let us think about how do we learn from the people that are doing it in maybe other regions of Africa and maybe our global partners.
India has not been helping other countries. It's the individual countries that are doing it. So they know what to do. If they don't, let them get some technical experts and then send them on retraining to where things are working and learn.
Experts attribute the decay in Nigerian shipyard industry to mismanagement, lack of investment, and failure to enforce policies that encourage local participation.
Why should we have dockyards that are moribund? Dockyards that are non-functional, redundant. Nimasa acquired a dockyard recently. 50 billion they paid for it. Why is that dockyard not working? I mean, these are questions we should hold our leaders accountable for. We should make these dockyards work.
That is not functional means that it's a matter of putting back to function. I mean, we have dockyard, not only in the Apapa, we have in Tinkan, we have in the Rivers, Port Harcourt, we have in other areas. So it's a matter of actually make sure that we revitalize the place and make them to be functional.
They suggest that investing in modern infrastructure, capacity building, and adherence to international standards and cooperation can help Nigeria become a preferred destination hub for ship repairs. To revive the industry, experts recommend that the government should prioritize investment in shipyard infrastructure, provide financial support to ship owners, and enforce policies that encourage local participation.
Nigerian Ports Authority have a dockyard. Why is it not functional? Why is it not working very well? There are some states that own dockyards. Rivers State owns a dockyard. It's not working very well. There's a dockyard in Calabar. There's a dockyard in Warri. They are not working very well. I don't want to mention specific names, but they are not working very well. There is Bayelsa is setting up a new dockyard, I think in Brass, and I hope that will work well. There are a few that are working well.
They also emphasize the need to implement the Cabotage Act, which aims to boost the country's shipbuilding, repairs and maintenance capacity. By addressing these challenges, Nigeria can unlock the potential of its shipyard industry, create jobs and generate revenue. In Abuja, Vivian Ezadifi, NTA News.
What will be, will be. No. I don't agree with that music that what will be, will be. Dear Nigerian youth, it has been said that the best way to predict the future is by creating it. The future does not happen by chance. It is shaped by the actions we take today. Nigerian economy will not grow itself. Wealth will not create itself. Success in export will not happen by wishful thinking. You must learn. You must strategize. You must take specific actions. That is why the Next Gen Export Summit 2025 is not just an event. It is an opportunity. An opportunity for you to master the act of exporting. It is an opportunity you shouldn't miss. 10 a.m., 25th and 26th of April 2025. See you there.
And that's it on this package of Business 24. I am Vivian Eza Davis. See you some other times.